Yeah, it rated N for nobody.
Oh, got it.
Because you shouldn't watch this. That's
awesome.
the entire point. Because it's basically a Ponzi scheme. Because we make the fun videos like the one that I included you in, and then this one is to fill space because I can't crank one of those out every week. That's
like space.
Yeah, to fill outer space. So welcome to the Rum Dumpster podcast. Today there is me. There is Alexis, who is in her Harley Quinn onesie. There is Bill, who is learning how to run the computer program that makes the thing happen. And our special guest, Athereal Rose.
Howdy.
Who is a musician who also travels around living in a van, but is living back here right now. Conveniently. Her creeper van is actually parked. See, this house is across the street from a park where kids go and play. And she lives in a giant white van that looks like a kidnapper van, and when you pulled up, you scared some people that were smoking weed because they thought you were the government, and you scared people for their children's safety because you also were maybe a pervert.
Convenient.
It's hard to
Thankfully,
say.
I don't want kids, so everybody's safe. Yeah.
When someone normally says I don't want kids, I mean they don't want to have them, but you mean I don't feel like stealing them out of the park.
I don't even want anyone else's kids either.
I don't want to steal your kids.
Everybody gets to keep their kids this week. It's just me. It's just me.
This week.
This week, yeah.
Maybe a different week.
This week, everyone gets to keep their kids. No Amber Alerts this week.
Well, it is Saturday, so you might be able to make that promise.
Yeah. Well, tomorrow's Easter, and it's a big Catholic holiday,
Yeah,
so
you can't steal
tis the
Jesus,
season.
so
To,
you
You can't
Steal
steal them
children.
while they're on their Easter egg hunt. I mean, come on.
I think that's why they invented those. I don't remember that from the Bible, but I think it was a way to lure children out of their parents'
Out into the yard.
Yeah, where the priests were like, I think there's some eggs hidden out by the shed.
Ew.
And
It's their balls.
yeah, these eggs are skin colored. Yeah, that's real gross.
These eggs are
right.
A
saggy.
little fuzzy. Oh yeah, we didn't really make a rundown before we did this. There's not like really any rules on here unless
We're
you
winging
don't. Yeah, unless you don't
If
want
you
to
can't tell.
actually tell. If you don't want to tell a story, you don't have to. But I'm going to say things until I almost regret putting it out, and then I'm going to put it out anyway. And that's just kind of how it works. But so what today we were doing before the podcast is making an episode of I've Never Thought About It Like That. Because Athereal also is one of the first people. There's been a lot of people who have reached out to me about, wanting to. I think it was post the Bitches Be Trippin' segment that Alexis and Meredith were in, kind of being like, hey,
Yes.
can I be in this in some capacity? And I'm like, well, it's going to be different every time.
That one got me so excited. The fact that you were making fun of reality shows, that got me so excited.
That was too. The funny thing is, I was so happy to finally make that because it's a really, 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 really old joke. Because we were see now a reality show that's just people fighting would be a thing that would happen.
Yes.
It was in 2003, and I think I lived in a rental dump house with Meredith and some people, and we were watching Flavor of Love or something like that.
Oh yes.
And I was like, I think someday in the future they're gonna cut out the point and just only have the fights.
Just fighting.
And I'd be like, yeah, they won't call it Flavor, they'll just call it
That does exist. It's called Real Housewives.
No, that joke isn't funny anymore because it happened. But in 2003 they're just going to call it Bitches Be Trippin' and they're only going to have the fights and shit. And this was before Jersey Shore and stuff came out, which absolutely had no point to it at all. They were supposed to work in a souvenir shop for the first 2 episodes and then they just gave up on that.
It was like, let's just film these people getting trashed and see what happens.
Let's
right?
just film dumbasses.
That sounds familiar.
Hello. Once again, you're watching the Rum Dumpster podcast. We're idiots getting trashed. That is really all this is. I mean, it's not. I have no delusions of anything better.
I was forced to watch Housewives.
Were you?
Well, not forced, but I liked TV. My mom liked TV, and she just, got the TV, so I had to watch it because she had it on the TV.
So you could get your money's worth.
Yeah, I mean, we had that TV for years. It's just Mom won over us. Cartoons are dumb bitches. Dumb bitches.
Oh, your mom got
Mommy
the same.
knows best.
Yeah.
I'm not watching Yu-Gi-Oh! We're gonna watch fucking plastic surgery mistakes go at each other's throats.
Botched
fun,
is
though.
so much fun.
Oh shit, we were watching
and that's
Botched.
the husband of one of the
housewives.
Yep.
That's right.
I love that show.
I cannot even tell you how many nightmares I had about my nipples falling off after watching.
Yes!
After after watching Botched, because seriously, that's what happens. Like, they don't sew it back on right, and it gets gangrene and falls off.
There's two types of, like, for instance, because it usually also happens, like, for breast reduction. There's two types, where they cut around your nipple and your nipple stays on you, or if they fully cut off your nipple and reattach your nipple.
Yeah.
You okay?
My nipples are so sensitive. I cannot listen to this.
My nipples!
I still have that nightmare.
And then they have to use leeches to suck on your nipple to regenerate growth.
Oh, to get the nerves to go back into
like get the blood flow. I know a lot of medical things.
Yeah.
I have a lot of tattoos and stuff, and I've gone to the same guy. Shouts out to Pookie for literally most of them, except for my knuckles. But
strip.
Yeah, Alexis got that from Pookie also. And he's a very good tattoo artist and, a very pleasant man. He's not like a scary biker that maybe, faked someone else's suicide or whatever. He's definitely like a cool dude. And so he'd kind of been with me for the ride, but I was getting my chest piece done and it got, real close to my nips. And my nips are real sensitive, so the only time he's ever heard me, like, yell and scream is when he'd start to get close. I'm like, ah! Like, that hurts. He's like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, just keep going, man. I don't like it around my nipples. And he was like, what if, what would happen if I just, like, went on the pink part, like, real quick? And I was like, I would pass away. And and I got a laugh out of the whole tattoo parlor while I was screaming in pain.
It was funny, because you were like...
Well, because normally it's like in my armpit, just like... and I'm like, yeah, that hurts a lot, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
But around my nipples, like...
And the thing is, like...
It was too much. I'm glad it's over.
You have to yell, but you also can't move.
Oh, I know.
Like when you yell,
oh, yeah, that would have fucked my whole life up.
It's usually, like, accompanied with, like, a jump or something like that.
So you're just like,
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, fuck. Like, I would just say weird stuff. I'd be like, oh, Oklahoma. Like, yeah.
Oh, my God.
I had to externalize everything verbally because I wanted to thrash around.
It'd be a cool time for, like, a pressure ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like a Civil War bullet to bite on while I was just like...
And then on your other nipple, you were like, let's just not go by that one.
Yeah, there's one that has... It doesn't look weird or anything, but there is one...
mechanical.
That there's less... Yeah, this one, I'm a titty. There's less over on this side, like, because this one had, like, this.
That
and he's
one
like,
got really close.
Yeah, he's like, I just won't do that on the other side. It doesn't look odd because it's a giant machine and everything. So it's fine, but I was like, yeah, that's okay. I'm willing to just say, let's not bother with that right now. We don't need to get so fucking close to my nipples.
Hey, at least you didn't tap out.
No, I've never given up on a tattoo. I've always, even like my stomach and stuff, that one got a little dicey here and there.
I've had a tap out twice.
Yeah, but that wasn't with him though.
What? No.
You were going to...
I just flicked off the camera on accident. Oops. Once because my thigh piece really hurt, which you wouldn't think because I got big ass thighs.
So. You know, nerve endings in them.
But anyway, one of them I stopped at the outline, which was still like over 4 hours. So I mean, like, it was technically next session situation, but and then the second time, person did not know how to use their machine
or tattoo people
after finding out that they were just an apprentice. And
not
they were
one.
ripping up my shit. And I had to tap out and like be like, oh yeah, I'm sorry. Man, my threshold's really bad. Okay. And then I never went back to them and I like blocked them on a bunch of stuff.
And Jake, my buddy, the singer of Blue Felix, our friend, had to she just rubbed paper towels on your fucking gaping World War I injury that she gave you, and then Jake had to wrap it up at his house that we had to go hide at.
Did not wrap my leg. She told me that that's how bacteria grows.
Yeah, whatever you do, don't dress this wound. That'll make you sick.
Gave me a towel and said, here, dab it at your leg if it's bloody. So I said, okay. And then we drove over to Jake's and he had actual after tattoo prep stuff, post prep, whatever. And probably if he didn't do that, I might have lost my leg. Who knows?
Well, you would have gotten some kind of infection. The tattoo would have been even more fucked up than it already is. Do you have any tattoos? I don't know that you do.
I don't. Only piercings. You know, it's interesting. I speaking of finding out that people are apprentices, my very first non-earlobe piercing I got was on the booty cruise. Yeah.
What is-
KDWB?
KDWB had a booty cruise.
Please explain. I don't know what that is, and maybe the audience doesn't either.
Here's the deal. Neither
boat
did
show.
I.
Boat show is what they do booty cruise on.
Oh, it's that same type of thing?
Yep.
Neither
Okay.
did I. I didn't know either. And I really wish I had a little bit more warning. Just my friend was like, hey, I won these tickets to this boat party off of KDWB.
Yep.
And the girl that I was going to go
why
with
not?
flaked out. Do you want to come? And I was like, well, yeah, like a boat party?
Piercer?
I get to the boat party. It's an all woman, hold on. How do I? Okay.
There's strippers. Male
So
strippers.
there are male
Ooh.
strippers. There are women selling you sex toys, various sex toys. There's lots of booze, as predicted, and there are people that will give you a piercing if you want a
That
piercing.
is weird. I didn't know there's piercers.
Yeah.
I've never been to a booty cruise. I just know this from listening until I was 13 years old on the KDWB radio station that they do booty cruise, which is on the Mississippi on the paddle
horrifying.
boats.
Yeah, that we played that
we did
metal show on the
watch
fucking boat.
show. Yeah. And Jake got in trouble.
Yeah,
Oh,
I got
God.
a really bad piercing on that. Really bad. It literally didn't last 24 hours.
Where did they pierce
actually?
you?
So I wanted my labret done. She went through my lip, through the top of my lip. And I'd like chosen a gemstone, like this big ass gemstone. She tried for like 20 minutes to get it on, and then she was like, darn, guess that's not gonna work. So she replaces it with, instead of like an actual gemstone, there's like a bar with
barbells.
the gemstone is like a part of the bar. And this gemstone was so microscopic that I woke up like 6 hours later and my shit had swollen past the jewelry.
No.
So there's a gemstone trapped inside of my face, and my face is swollen over it. Like I pushed the back of it like a few times to see if it would go back through.
That's so
no,
messed up.
it was gone.
That-
And I literally, like, even pulling from back here, it was stuck as fuck. And so I had to do the like 3, 2, 1 yoink
Yep.
and like bleed all over my sink. Yeah. So I paid $80 for a piercing that lasted less than 24 hours.
You
Yeah.
paid $80 for a bloody sink.
I paid $80 for a good lesson in life. Like, don't get a face piercing on the stripper
On a boat cruise, a boat cruise. That's
a booty
the
cruise.
boat cruise on the Mississippi.
Mississippi.
With
It's called the booty cruise. Like, who wants to get a piercing?
That doesn't make sense.
silly me.
Uh,
Okay, and that very same day actually was the day that the bridge fell. Because we had just gotten on the boat.
The 35.
And then all of a sudden, everyone was on their cell phones, and everyone was like crying and frantic and panicking, like right after
And
we
they're
got
like,
on the
we
boat.
can't go that way because
And-
there's a bridge in the water.
And I remember my friend,
Bridge in the River Kwai.
we just drove over that bridge to get there, and so
Yeah.
I was like, "What do you
Oh.
mean?" Everyone was like, "The bridge fell," and I remember like not being able to conceptualize what they were saying because I was like,
yeah.
"What do you mean?" I literally just saw that.
that reminds
So
me
yeah,
of a
that
thing.
was a trip.
So my
I was in St.
friend
Louis
growing
when that
up, her dad, I don't know if it was a friend of her dad's or it was a family member. He was the last guy to get across.
Really?
And he looked in his rearview mirror and then saw nothing.
Ooh.
Really?
And I remember she told me
That's
this when it happened. Like, she
scary.
told me, and she's like, yeah, he was driving on the bridge, and he was the last one to make it across, and
my
then
God.
nothing was behind him.
Damn.
Could you imagine that?
And then, like,
I
it would
can't
be,
imagine
it would be
that.
weird
That
at
would be-
first, and then you'll like learn when you get home kind of what happened. You're like, oh shit! Like I was like, oh, that looks okay. I don't know, and then oh yeah, a bunch of people died.
That's
I'd
So
be
my
I'm so
dad
scared of bridges.
Serves
would
you
take
right for tailgating me.
yeah right. Yeah, oh, down you go.
If he tailgated, he might have made it, okay?
No, the guy behind him.
Yeah, if he
Yeah,
tailgated, he
if he
might have made
tailgated,
it.
Oh yeah. Never give anyone any room. You know, my dad worked downtown. Now he largely works remotely, but even pre-COVID. But he normally took that way home at around then, and he chose not to go that way because he had noticed traffic was particularly bad.
Okay.
He's like, I'm gonna take the roundabout way home, and then found out the bridge he normally drives on
Dang.
in rush hour fell down. And I was on tour in
Lucky.
St. Louis, sitting in like a Chipotle, and all of a sudden it was like on the TVs. This
Yeah.
was like 2007. It was an old SMB tour, and we're like, hey, there's like a bridge. That's Minneapolis.
That's
Oh,
35.
fuck. Yeah. And we like started texting people being like, hey,
I
are
hate
you
that
alive?
I hate that we're famous for everything that we have collapsing.
Which is weird because Minneapolis is pretty like wealthy.
Yeah, well, we're like we're a city that kind of. It's why I've never been like
the ceiling of First Ave, the like
Metrodome,
the
fell.
Metrodome.
Oh yeah,
We're
snow.
the wrong things. Like we have money.
All of society's collapse started here and led to the hellish, the hellish future that we filmed
because you're right.
earlier today. Yeah, the whole.
I mean, I had to drive through the riots. Because that's where my work is.
Yeah, your work is down the street from there, and David Mutter's house was literally like short walking distance to like where the police precinct burned down and everything.
That was the closest that I've.
It's like, ooh.
Well, obviously, the closest I've ever gotten to escape from New York.
Yeah, that heavy vibes like that. I just like your story that you saw people dragging an ATM machine across the street on your way to work at like 6 a.m. and you're just like, oh yeah, hello. They're like,
okay,
just we're just dragging this into.
I had to work during the riots, and we were people coming into the hospital, driving to the hospital. Nurses were getting attacked by rioters and stuff like that. And part of you is like, okay, instinct. Do I just like? Because half of the people are just running, stop signs, everything, because they're getting attacked, throwing bricks at...
Yeah, it's panicky, which is dangerous.
And then there's people walking in the street, and so I paused and just waved them by, and they just went like, hey! You're just dragging an ATM machine down the street. And then I drove on, and I'm like...
Another day.
The whole situation, the first couple nights was the community. The next couple nights were the people that came in because the community left certain parts alone. Because they're of the community, certain staple stores, they left things alone.
Yep.
The next following nights, they burnt down everything, and it wasn't the community. It was the people that came in. And that's the thing that made me super sad, because, like, that's where I'm parking, that's where I work.
Well, everyone I know that lived down there, like, witnessed some of that, too, where, like David was like, there's, like, white guys in pickup trucks that with, like, no license plates that are just pulling up into my neighborhood and just starting to wreck shit. It's like, what? Hey, wait a minute. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, It got really dicey, and I still like that video of that weird guy in the gas mask with the umbrella that was like doing all that shit, which was just like people like all saw that and they're like, well, yeah. I'm like, no, what do you mean? Well, yeah, that was like, hang on a second, like that was real weird, and it is still weird. I saved it in multiple places on a hard drive and on my phone because I'm like, I'll bet in 10 years this gets a little hard to find online, and I'm like, I'm keeping this because this is like. Yeah, other people were meddling in that and trying to make it worse.
And that's the fucked up thing is because then they're turning it negative when it's a situation that needs to be dealt with.
It's a classic thing where you're like, hey, let's make this worse so then we can legislate all this garbage politics to be like, oh, look at these people. It's like, that was you.
Yeah.
You sneaky fuck. You went in there trying to wreck everything up.
Do you know how many, like, where my car was, tons of buildings were burning.
I was
driving past burning buildings.
Yeah. Well, it got real crazy. Were you out of town when all that stuff happened, or were you back here?
I was here.
Because that was, COVID hit, and you kind of were like, you kind of did the converted van thing, and I know you're maybe sick of talking about that, but you've never talked about it on this podcast before. But so you kind of like retrofitted a van to kind of do the like traveling musician thing, but
I literally just wanted to go on tour.
Yeah.
And so that was February 2020.
And that is when you started?
So I bought the van in September of 2019.
I do remember
with the plan of starting a spring tour starting in February of 2020. Before I knew that the world was going to end right around then. Drove down. I started in Louisiana. Like, I went straight down to Louisiana first and, like, spent a month out there. Like, got family out there. And then, like, headed over to Miami. And I was in Miami for, like, a month before.
How was Miami? Because Miami, every time I've been there, I mean, you're no longer in the south of the United States. You're on another planet.
No one speaks English, P.S.
It is a wild time down there. Like,
you know... I had friends
you tip your hairdresser and blow. Like, it's...
I had friends tell me, like, if you don't speak Spanish, you're not going to make it. Like, you're not going to make it there. But it's so weird to be the only English-speaking person everywhere you go, actually. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, tons of people there speak English as their secondary language, but it's so interesting to have a million conversations happening around you everywhere you are. The grocery store, the gym, like, everywhere. And English is not anyone's first language there. So
interesting. I've never been to Miami.
Miami is insane. Miami is the upside down because the Florida, the further south you go in Florida, the further away from the south you get. Like, the further north you go in Florida, the more the deep south you get into.
That's right.
And, like, the world of Alabama and all that stuff. But yeah, Miami is like an entirely different microcosm, and I've played some shows down there, and I mean, it's great because it's like famously very out of control. Well, okay, anyone that wanted to see what I was doing there was a maniac. Okay. So it definitely was like a particularly...
I've heard the metal scene is really good there, though.
Yeah, the metal / industrial scene is kind of like... Well, you know what's... One of my favorite things, actually, kind of back when I used to tour more, is that Hispanic-speaking cultures love heavy industrial music.
Nice.
Like a lot. Like a lot. Like Rammstein would play in a larger arena in Mexico City than they would even in the bigger cities in America. Yeah. And I witnessed it firsthand being in a sort of industrial tinged band that in like San Antonio, Texas and Miami, Florida and stuff like that, there's people that like definitely like you would imagine would not be at a metal show at all, losing their shit because they're like, hey, and I'm like, where did you guys come from? They're like, we love this kind of thing. I'm like, whoa, like I learned that on the road. Then like kind of like later looking at numbers and stuff of other musicians and whatever, I'm like, oh, that's kind of a trend, but I didn't know ahead of time. So like I experienced like going like, oh, these guys aren't here for us, they're partying at some other thing, and then they all come inside and like, oh, well, all right, hey, that's great. And there's just kind of a thing with that gas mask, industrial, heavy, Rammstein, Manson, Skinny Puppy. It's just huge. Well,
a lot of like a lot of roots of like European and stuff like that is like in Portugal it's fado, so it's like the jazz, the hard times, the deeper concept.
I guess there's a lot of darker music that have come out of, like Portugal and Spain and stuff.
If you don't think that rock comes from jazz roots and stuff like that, you're 100% wrong. It does come from it. And
what is industrial music other than evil jazz?
And so that makes sense to me.
It makes more sense now. Just when I was younger, I was like a very pleasant surprise that like
hey, party.
Yeah, like no one gives a fuck.
It's also a lot of like emotions to rage at. Like did you pick up any Spanish while you were down there?
I did not.
I need to get better at my Spanish.
I'm terrible.
I do good, but then I get to conjugations. I'm like, fuck.
Well, I mean, we made the Yokiro video, and that was a little bit Spanish.
Yeah,
a little bit. Yeah.
And that's another. Actually, that would have been a good. I would have had to have downloaded it again. I got a clip, but I made You have a hip hop song about Taco Bell.
About my love of Taco Bell.
Your love of Taco Bell.
That was so fun.
Alexis was in.
It's a love affair. Alexis is in it.
Yeah. How many? You were in it.
He's in
I
it.
Was in it, it was my first experience with like, we just drove around. GoPros glued to the dashboard and like just buying Taco Bell over and over again. And those guys were like, we were like, hey, we're making a music video. They're like, cool, yeah, you want some free tacos and stuff? Like we were just like driving around in circles in their parking lot.
We're like in the Taco Bell parking lot.
Yeah, they didn't care at all.
My favorite thing was I showed my coworker, and she's very innocent. She's like, so did you have to pay them to dance in front of Taco Bell? I said, oh honey, no. We just got on a table and did it. Like that's how it happened.
Yeah.
It was really
if you want to make a rap video about literally anything, Taco Bell is maybe where you should go because they definitely were like, go nuts.
Taco Bell was my first job. We just like to see people happy and not bugging us.
Your first Taco Bell that you worked at too was that one by my old house where I in Burnsville off like County Road 42 Nicollet. There was a Taco Bell there, and I lived in this like rental house with Meredith and some other people where we would like. It was like an anarchy house of. I mean, I was way young, and we were like rolling bowling balls down the hill into the Taco Bell parking lot and stuff. And it's like that was probably before you worked there.
It was. I wish we connected from like a rogue bowling ball.
That would have been funny.
Knocked me over, and I've been like, love at first hit. That sounds terrible. Just like, hey.
Love at first strike.
Yeah.
There you go.
Boom. Bada bang. But I was. But 16, so you would have been what?
Like, I don't know, 51.
Oh, yeah.
You're only as old as you feel. No, but I would have been, I would have probably, no longer been living there anyway.
Yeah.
But,
That's my first job.
I knew a kid that worked at a bowling alley, and he gave us all these bowling balls and bowling pins. Just like roll them onto the freeway and stuff.
Oh my god!
I was young.
Whoops.
I was a young 23. I had no concept of rules or empathy back then.
Okay, like So the van life van is like 9 feet tall and it doesn't fit in any drive-throughs. So literally, like on my drive down to the south, I was like, okay, this is gonna be my, like literally this most recent trip, I was like, this is gonna be my first time in 1 year having Taco Bell because we've been apart for all of COVID. Seriously, like the you know, the circumstance, whatever it may be, like has been keeping us apart. And like
star-crossed
like,
lovers.
I can't even tell you how many different Taco Bells like I went up and I was like, maybe the dining room's open now.
That's weird.
Like, you know, and the dining rooms are all locked and you can only use the drive-through, and my fucking van life van is 9 feet tall.
They wouldn't let you just drive-throughs
are like
knock, knock.
the one where they know me, they probably would have let me, but I didn't want to like do that for the
Like,
vehicles that would be behind me.
Too
But
big.
so yeah, this most recent trip that I just did to Florida, like a month and a half ago, like it was my first order of business. Like when I got into the South and I knew there was a dining room open, I like went in there and it was my first time, and it like my first time in a year. And I went up to the counter and I like started talking to the lady. I was like, spicy potato stuffed taco, Crunchwrap Supreme, blah, blah, blah. And then she was like, exactly what you just said. She was like, go order it on the kiosk.
Wow.
It was so funny.
I want to yell it in your face.
You said I like it when people don't bother us or whatever.
Yeah.
It was so funny because she, like, I walked up to her and I was like giving her my order and she's like, the kiosk is right there.
See, I would have
She's
been
like,
happy. I
use
always
the
got
touch
them messed
screen.
up like, I want Supreme tacos. Okay, that comes with sour cream, tomatoes, and lettuce. I don't want Supreme, but you just said you want some Supreme. Well, give me Supreme. But you just, what? Do you know how many people bitch for a taco? God damn.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ma'am, I'm 16 years old. I do not own this company, and please stop yelling at me.
Yeah.
why did you discontinue the cheesy fiesta potato?
Well, because I don't
Why?
like you, lady.
Oh, and my Taco
did it on
Bell
purpose.
was a Pizza Hut. It was a Pizza Hut Taco Bell.
Ooh, like the one in the quarry?
It was in
Over by the
it was
quarry?
in Burnsville. is where
Oh, okay,
I
dang
went
it.
to.
All right.
But it used to be
I remember
Pizza Hut
that
Taco
Pizza
Bell.
Hut Taco Bell
I
over
love
by
that.
the quarry. Ooh,
Where's the
that
quarry?
was the spot.
It's where we
3
went to
a.m.
PetSmart.
Oh.
That's the quarry.
Yes.
Oh, it is. You're right. We were
Yes.
just there.
Yes, we were.
Looking for mice in all the right places.
That was true. For Sneckos.
Yes.
They snack on mice in this house.
They do.
They do, yeah. You got to
some
meet our snakes today.
Fancy snakes here.
We only have the 2. But
Yeah.
it feels like an entire zoo. Shit, I actually had like almost a poignant question. Something about your touring stuff. Van, 9 foot tall.
The van life thing was fun. I went to the beach every day. I
What do
played
you-
in the ocean.
What do you have
Have you ever parked down by the river?
Not yet. You know what? And I
does
would
that
love.
Actually, you're not
I
very
would
far.
love to do more boondocking. No, really.
What does that mean? What's boondocking?
Okay, so like boondocking is when you like drive it into the woods. Like you drive it. Basically, you do the off-grid thing
Oh.
and you live by the river.
Like Tom
And-
Green's
We could
thing.
do that.
Did you
We
see
have
his?
it down the street.
Yeah, we are right by the Mississippi River.
You know what?
Yeah.
I have to stay in populated places because
It's a little,
Yeah.
someone
that's
needs to hear me scream when I'm
That's
being
another
murdered.
thing. We had those people that were, I mean, it's not a river, but they were boondocking outside of Ryan's house.
No, that was just people smoking weed on a dead end street
No,
where
they
they
were
didn't think
sleeping
anyone.
in their car.
Oh, I guess they were kind of living there. Yeah.
And it was weird. Ryan kept flashing them with the lights.
Well, that was, I mean, okay, like, there is a bit of, like, a line of, like, yeah, you know, I don't want to hassle you because you kind of have
Different
nowhere
when
to
it's in front
go.
of a house.
But it's like our girlfriends would be, like, leaving in the morning and you're, like, staring at them out the window and you just live in your car. I'm like, okay, like, look, man, like, I appreciate that times are weird, but
Because he
this...
lived on a dead end, so they always thought that, like,
Yeah.
that was okay.
Which was odd because it only it's better to like hide out where there's like lots of people because it's like, oh, maybe
Yeah.
that car is just parked there. But when it's like you're the only car in front of one person's house who is definitely looking out the windows, it's like someone eventually is going to be like, hey, what are you doing here?
So do you stay in a lot of Walmart parking lots?
You know what? No.
No. Because John
Like-
does.
Okay,
Well,
so
not anymore.
okay,
I know.
so here's the deal. Like the Walmarts when they were 24 hours were lovely to stay at actually, and more recently, especially now that the South is flooded with van lifers right now, like literally Walmarts are like hiring private security to fucking patrol the shit out of it and yell at people who like try to park there overnight. So
That was their big thing for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really
Vans,
friendly
just
towards
like,
that.
Yeah, you can park here.
Well, because it'd be like-
every Walmart was 24 hours at one point in life before COVID.
Well, and they would make money
And
off it
that's
too.
not the case anymore.
Because, Blue Felix is a tour bus. We always parked in Walmarts back in the day because there'd be
They're
like 11.
so strict now. It's unbelievable.
That's weird.
This
Walmart
guy-
actually has morals.
I'm glad I got out
This
of tour.
guy came banging on my van at 4:00 in the afternoon, like a sunny afternoon, like when I was actually shopping. Like I'd just gotten done grabbing all my groceries, and I was on the phone with my friend, whose like mom had just passed away. Like, I'm not gonna fucking drive away while I'm on a fucking phone call. I don't know. Anyways, this guy was like over the top aggressive about you can't stay here, and I was like, sir, I'm not trying to stay here, here's my receipt, like fuck you.
That's weird.
But
Yeah.
no, he was aggressive about it, and he was like a private security guard, like hired by them to harass people.
Thanks, mall cop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, hey, tough guy,
Really
That's dumb.
fit
sorry,
in the
I will
mall
drive
cop.
away as soon as I'm done with this phone conversation. But he literally like stood there, like would not leave until I drove away. So I'm like, my friend's mom just passed away, and I'm like on the phone. She's like in the throes of an anxiety attack. I'm like
Right.
coaching her through that and driving. I'm like, okay, dude. Like, thanks, man, you insensitive fucking prick, but that's fine. It's 4:00 in the afternoon and it's sunny out, so I don't know.
Out of spite, I would have just like, all right, I'm going, and then drove to the other end of the parking lot.
Like, I need to go get another microwavable burrito. Hang on.
It wasn't the type of phone call you want interrupted. Like,
Yeah.
you don't want a guy screaming in the background of that particular phone call. Like, I was just like, damn, dude. Wow.
So where do you stay, like, when you're on van life? Like, where?
Everywhere.
Rest stops, of course, right?
Rest stops are awesome. I love rest stops.
Is there any places you wouldn't stop to sleep a night?
Yeah, any place that isn't well populated. That's what I was saying about boondocking. Like, I want to boondock, but I'm alone.
Yeah. That,
Literally, if I
follow-
were with another person, I would boondock every night.
I follow on TikTok this girl who also does van life, and she was telling us this story where, like, this car had pulled up to her and, like, started knocking on her door, and then she was close enough but far away enough from the next person who was like either camping or in the van or something.
Yeah.
And they kept like coming back and like knocking on her door, and then she had to like call the cops, and she was like out in the woods, and I'm just like, oh
Yeah, if
I'd be
you're by
fucking
yourself out there,
and it's her and her dog, and
Nope.
my friend also is currently doing herself and just the dog. She's in Florida right now too.
Okay.
And so I'm just like, ooh, I would be terrified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd recommend a dog
guy-
and a shotgun.
a guy tried to rob my van while I was in it.
Ooh.
Yeah. So we have an alarm now.
Like doors robbing, like bust through the
Oh my
doors?
gosh, I was like completely asleep, and all of a sudden, okay, it was such
That's scarier.
it was
Biggest
such
sleep.
it was like floating in outer space, you guys, because it took my brain so long to catch on to what was
'cause
happening.
You're asleep in days.
Like I was in a dead sleep, and all of a sudden the whole van went boom, and it knocked me out of bed. Like I literally like fell out of bed, and I was like, and then I heard a car go, and so I was like, oh my god, somebody just did a hit and run on me. So I open up the back curtain, and I see this little red car speeding the wrong way down a fucking one-way street, speeding away from me down a one-way street, and I'm like, he's going the wrong way down a one-way street. So I'm like, what? I'm like, how did that person just do a hit and run on me without, you know how the sound of impact is so fucking loud when you crash?
Yeah, it's like
I
a
was
blunt,
like,
cracky whack.
why did I feel the impact but not hear it?
Yeah.
For starters. So I'm sitting there like in a total, like half asleep. I'm like, how did I feel an impact and not hear it? Why is that guy speeding the wrong way down a one way to get away from me? If like all he wanted to do was hit the van, and like
That's all I needed to do to get through my day.
While I'm like
Whack into
working
that
it all
van.
out in my head, like I have all the lights are off still. I'm like fumbling for like my contacts because I'm blind as a fucking bat, and I'm like fumbling for my contacts in the dark, and That's when I see him. He parks his car at the end of the street and he gets out and starts walking back towards me. All I can see is the black fucking shadow. Like, all I can see is... Exactly. And all I can see is his silhouette walking, like, in slow motion back towards the van. And I'm like... and it was so funny because my key fob, like, literally... Okay, this is before I had an alarm on the van. So it's unlock the front doors, lock everything, unlock the back doors. Those are the 3 buttons.
Did you hit one of the unlocks?
I'm in the dark without my contacts on. Like, hear me out. And I'm fumbling between these 3 buttons, and I'm like,
oh my God.
I'm talking to myself. I'm like, you have one chance to get this right. You have one chance to get this right. And I'm in the dark, and I push the lock button, and it flashes all the buttons, or all the lights, and he stops in the middle of the street, and then darts and runs away.
Oh my God.
And it was like right before he got back up to the van. So I don't know if he like went to get a crowbar to like bash out the windows or like what, like. And then later, as I told that story to my friends, they were like, he was pushing the side of the van to see if you had an alarm. And then another friend was like, oh, that was him yanking on the door trying to get it open. So whether he was like pushing to see if there was an alarm or like trying to yank my door open, either way, he went back to his car.
That's so fucked up.
Grabbed something and was like coming back towards me when I finally found the right button to like flash all the lights.
Well, like the van is... I think now that van life is a big thing, people don't always assume that it's a live-in van.
Yeah.
Because, like, down the street, we have a company van like that. And
Yeah.
so people want to steal the shit inside.
They want to steal the tools. Yeah.
And not know that there's a person inside.
A working man's van.
I mean, anyone who's stealing anything
Yeah.
like that is fucked up. But, that would be so scary.
Yeah.
That's, like, TV stuff.
You know what's really weird is, like, I have this really... I know it sounds dumb, but I have this really menacing-looking, like, pocket knife that, like, it's something that's, like, really fast that I could whip out super quick. And I've started before
Shut up, Bill.
I didn't say it.
I don't know what he's laughing about, but I take
That's probably okay.
I literally take the knife, because it's the scariest fucking knife I
Yeah.
have. It's hideous. And I take the thing and I set it on the dash and then I go to bed and nobody has bothered me since. Like, you know what I mean?
I bought a taser.
Yeah, Alexis got
I
a
just put-
fucking cop
Well,
like
you know what I mean?
Zapmaton.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I went and got
That-
I got a police grade taser as well.
Oh,
but
yeah.
yeah, it's like if you're displaying your weapons on the dash, like that's a pretty good message, right?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm crazy. What's
Like
up?
just leave me alone. I'm fucking crazy. I will stab you.
See, that's good. Stabby McStab.
No, it's one of our fallen comrades, our friend Diesel, who is a bouncer at many different musical venues that I've played at before. We got to watch him use that exact same brand in action. Alexis actually named it after him in honor because there was this giant meth head guy at a My Zero concert at this like awards show we were playing that was just like hitting people and hitting girls and throwing. We have a friend that's a little person, and he picked him up and tossed him. And you have to ask
wow.
consent for that kind of thing, and he
That's
did not.
sad.
And so like Diesel was alerted and came out. Well, Alexis may have punched him in the back of the neck with a set of keys, but then Diesel came out and hit him with this exact same like 9 million volt cattle prod. And this guy was far bigger than I am. I'm not the biggest guy, but this guy was pretty big. And he just like fell down. And then I've told this story before, but it's a great story where he was like kind of like, it was cool having the security guy on your side because he was like, the cops are coming for this guy, and why don't you just go back and wash off your keys? We're like, yeah, all right, cool. It's like, you guys just hide. I'll talk to the cops. They'll take him away.
My dad
Yeah.
in Jersey.
Alexis's folks taught her to key
I had
up,
nothing
you know.
else. This guy was hitting us in the back
Yeah,
of
he
the head.
was. And no one that worked there, I mean, Diesel figured it out eventually. But
And I turned to him like, stop hitting us. Like, I'm not playing. Like, I'm watching the show. Leave me alone. He kept coming back behind us and hitting us in the back of the head. And so then, like, I tried to, like, tell someone, I'm like, he's hitting girls, like, this isn't cool. And then he did the thing to our one friend. And then he came back again. I said, I will punch you. And I ended up maybe punching him in the back of the head with some keys.
well, our other friend, who's she's a small but rabid animal, basically, like, dove on his back and pulled his leather jacket down. And then Alexis was just sitting there, just like keys. And then her buddy was like, what the fuck? And just gave her,
Thanks, Dad. That trip into Jersey was fun.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because Alexis' father was born in Portugal during some economic strife, and then when he moved to America, the first place he lived was the worst part of New Jersey.
Yeah.
So Alexis' upbringing was a little bit, don't take no shit from nobody. Pretty hardcore from that journey, and that's why I love it.
Now I have a big taser.
Yeah, you do.
It's fun. It comes with a flashlight, so I can flash them and then zap them. Like, oh, you think you can see me?
I love that it has that like really stabby strobe.
Yep.
Yeah, that white light that just blinds you. I'm
That's
like,
the
yes.
plan. Also, it's just scary as shit.
Okay, there was one guy, I was walking at nighttime, and he was walking probably 30 feet behind me, but he was behind me for long enough that I was like, what the fuck?
Like, what are you doing?
The only two people on this entire road in this entire neighborhood are me and you can see that it's dark out. Like, how are you still behind me right now? Mm-hmm. And I changed routes enough times, and he followed me enough times that I was like, oh, you're really fucking following me. So I took out my taser. I don't know if yours has this feature. If you put it up halfway, it does just the red laser light.
No.
Okay, literally
That's cool.
I just held it in my hand and I put the red laser light up and I just showed it.
Scope.
I literally just showed it to him and he
probably thought you had a gun.
He turned around
Which is
immediately and went the other way.
That's the thing that sucks about these, everyone's like, oh, women, cute little pink guns and shit. No. You need something that scares someone, because that's what you should use it first for. It should intimidate someone enough to leave you the fuck alone.
Yeah.
Well, you're 9mm.
Literally, all I did was show him the red laser light, and
My
he
gun's
fucked
bigger
off
than his
right
gun.
away. It was so nice.
So I'm just saying.
Well, that was the thing when Alexis...
Sometimes size matters.
It's like, don't get anything that someone's going to assume you maybe are not going to use. Get something menacing and terrifying.
Yeah.
Then you won't have to use it,
I love
which
that
is
thing is so loud when you deploy it. When you...
Yep.
Yeah.
I love that it's so loud.
I'm such a big fan of dangerous electricity. That was my... I wanted to... Actually, not wanted to. I did invent this. I just never actually put it into practice. But I was like, if you...
You thought of it. You didn't invent it.
I kind of... Well, okay. I just... a friend of mine was trying to figure out how to build a security system that had automated guns on it. And I'm like, you could actually do that, but they'll eventually run out of bullets. And you could, throw a rock and, trick the tracking program through the cameras into depleting everything. And then, then it's free to go.
I'm so confused.
Oh, it's okay. No, but I figured out that I could set up something that has a motion detector in it that turns on you know what a Tesla coil is? Those giant electric towers that blast electricity everywhere that are terrifying.
It's got a ball on the top of it, usually some rings around it, and electricity arcs off of it.
Okay. It looks like a very, very
right.
black and white science fiction thing, but it's a very real thing that you can do, and it's very dangerous.
It looks like Frankenstein's dildo.
Yeah, it does look like Frankenstein's dildo. Thank you. That actually is... Write that down. But I was like, no, you can just set up a motion detector thing on a timer, so it just, it gives you a verbal warning. It's like the Wheeler Tech automated lethal home defense system will activate if you remain in this area, and then they just turn on, and anyone within a 20-foot radius is going to get electrocuted.
Before it gets there.
But they're also the crackling. Imagine a
this
taser.
Sounds like a lawsuit just waiting to happen.
Well, that was mainly why I never actually did this, but I was like, you could. It was a theory. Yeah.
Ooh, oh.
And that you can build ones that are 50 feet tall that you would, even if it didn't shock you to death, if you were that close to it, it would blow your eardrums out, because it's like your taser, but there's these 50-foot long arcs of electricity flying.
Again, a lawsuit. All I can hear is lawsuit.
Yes, but
lawsuit.
nothing.
It's like you're talking and all I hear is lawsuit.
Well, lawsuits require witnesses that are alive, and that's what I figured out you had to get rid of. So you just need to build bigger ones. But that's all. So I wanted to get a little bit into. Well, okay. So we talked about the Taco Bell video. Well, you've been in you have your music, but you've also been the front person of bands before. Like a friend of mine, Jen Dean, was the drummer of a thing that you were in.
Yeah.
And what?
Jen Dean is so great.
She's actually she's one of the best drummers that I've ever seen, and can do double
crazy talented
double kick drum pedals in spike high heels like it's nothing.
Yeah,
which is I don't think I've ever seen anybody do that, at least not since the mid '80s. And but yeah, so was that a cover band you were in with her, or was that a different? Okay, because I wasn't really sure, because I know that you had kind of a hip hop thing, but. You also had stuff with live bands and stuff.
Yeah, I'm asked to do backup vocals for a lot of different people's projects. So it's been nice being able to participate in a ton of other people's music. That's so fun. Yeah. That is so fun for me. like just doing backup vocals or just doing go-go dancing or just acting in someone's music video. Like, I love taking... I've always just, like, generally wanted to work in entertainment. Like,
yes.
I've always wanted to be full-time in entertainment, no matter what that means. Like, I've taken voiceover jobs, acting jobs, like, dance, model, sing, whatever. Like,
yeah.
I love all of it.
Well,
I love it all.
That's a very good attitude to have, because I've noticed, you know, I'm able to eke out a small living by going, I don't really care exactly what it is that I'm doing.
Yeah.
But like we were yelling about
Just like
before the
entertainment.
podcast, like, you know, if Paris Hilton wants to pretend to be a DJ,
Yeah.
be the person that they hire
Careful.
to do
she
that.
Is a DJ. She is a DJ.
Right, sure.
Hold
But
on. Paris Hilton is
she
my
still
wife.
doing that?
I'm sorry. I'm going to, like, defend her to the death because Paris
No, I
Hilton
loved her
is
in,
the love of my life.
Repo.
I love her.
Have you ever seen Repo the Genetic Opera? It's one of her favorite movies, and she is prominently featured in that, singing and doing very... You've never seen that?
I'll have to check that out.
Oh, it's
Oh,
very
it's
good.
amazing.
All I've done is throw movies
She
at
is
you and been like, have you
phenomenal.
seen this?
You know what? I stopped watching television about 6 years ago.
Well, this movie came out way before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I stopped consuming television like 6 or 7 years ago. I'll only watch cinema, and probably like one day a month I might consume a little bit of cinema. But that's about it.
Although we did have a very lively
I don't own a
discussion.
television. Oh, she's so...
It's a movie
Paris
about...
is perfect. She's
Yeah.
perfect.
It's a movie about
Don't you dare. No, seriously, I love Paris. Like,
it's a future movie where it's rather, remember we were talking about how it was like sci-fi is not actually about the future, it's about now, but
Yeah.
it's disguised.
Yeah.
That is Reaper the Genetic Opera is about people who buy on payment plans. Like, medical technology has advanced quite a bit, so it's like you can get a heart so you live to be like 180 years old, but if you're late on a payment, they'll literally just grab you and cut your heart out.
Oh, wow.
And that's what that movie's about, is just the
Damn.
corrupt, fucked up
Man.
world. Yeah, the repo man comes and he cuts your lungs out if you can't afford it. And these people are all on
Brutal.
these, like, they're addicted to surgery, and she's got like a different face all the time
musical.
Yeah, and it's
I
also a
love it.
musical. And a guy, Ogre from
So
Skinny
good.
Puppy, my old band opened for him once, and I heard about the movie before it came out, and I had a signed poster of it that I lost in my millions of moves and
no.
ex-girlfriends, which I'm really depressed about because it was super awesome.
And I ended up
And he was the-
loving it.
it was-
I
and he
like,
was
have
also-
you seen this movie, Repo?
Nivek Ogre's a
Like,
really nice
Repo.
guy. The guy from Skinny
Although
Puppy and shit.
Repo was not very good.
No, and that was their
Oh, they
attempt.
remade it, kind
Yeah.
of.
That
Yeah,
was
that
their
sucks.
attempt
But
to
it
do
wasn't
it.
a musical.
And it fucking
No,
pisses me
the
off.
fact that it was an opera, not even just a musical, it was an opera about getting your artificial future organs repossessed by this evil company was like fucking a wild
It
ride.
made me
Paris
so
Hilton was in it. She was
upset.
really good.
Yeah.
Because they even opened it up, hopefully, for a 2 at the
They did.
end.
Yeah,
and
they
I didn't get a 2. Give me a 2! I want a 2!
Yeah, people who made that movie who are for
Oh, a
sure watching
sequel.
our podcast.
Yeah.
a sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want another! Thank
Make a
you!
sequel. God damn you. Call it Paris Hilton and Ogre and the guy,
And the chick from Spy
Bill,
Kids.
not you, Bill, but Bill.
Oh,
What the fuck is that guy's
Kristen
name?
Bell?
No.
Wait.
No,
Nope, I got that
I
wrong.
thought her
Sorry.
name's
He was in
Alexis.
he was in like the Satan's Rejects and things. Who the fuck is the guy?
What about the
Bill
guy
something.
from...
No.
What about the guy from Buffy?
Oh yeah, the Giles from the Buffy the Vampire Slayer series is like
Nathan.
Nathan.
He plays Nathan.
Yeah, he Anthony Stewart Head's his name. He's the repo guy, and he's a really good singer. And he cuts people up and he sings while he does it. And it's this like super weird goth
amazing.
movie that just has Paris Hilton in it. I don't know. You'd probably like it. But it definitely came out north of 10 years ago. Like,
Alexa Prenavega? I can't say that name.
oh yeah. And the guy that plays Roddy, the dad of the company, is like a guy that's in all these mob
Is
movies.
he
He was
still
in The
alive, or
Rocketeer.
is he dead now?
That dude? I thought he was alive. I don't know.
Let me look.
Anyway, yes. Paris Hilton was in that
Paris
movie,
is
and
the
it
best.
was very
It's a
good. But
good
also,
movie.
you know, sometimes it pays to be the guy that somebody knows that can make EDM music real quick for money because you
Yeah.
know, they might
I
come
think
to
he's
you
still
for
alive.
it. And, no, I think he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
the guy's
he's still-
dead.
If you think about the way music works in the music industry,
Wolverine.
especially in the upper, I don't even know how to properly say that, but like there's a ton of different writers, ghost writers, and they're using a pop star's face and image to put out their music. So what's the difference?
No, there isn't. Well, and I say the lower levels, like, no, my mortgage gets paid from being a guy not even that high up that people come to ghost write and produce their records. It's definitely a practice.
They just need a face and a body to sell it, you know, and there's tons of ghostwriters, and little Miss Cutie Pants, who looks like a supermodel, is, you know, soaking up all the glory. I mean, what's the difference? If Paris Hilton is paying a producer to, you know, put her tracks together,
none.
She's still the mega hottie who gets to stand behind the turntables.
Except she can afford to pay Deadmau5, and I think that's the real trick.
I love her perfume.
Yeah.
All of Paris's perfumes I
like everything about her.
They just smell so good. So many celebrity perfumes suck.
Yeah,
and Paris Hilton's, really I vote all of them. I like the scents are always so good. So thanks.
Yeah, Paris is more than a person. She's a destination.
She has the Eiffel Tower in her.
That's like a perfect like.
Wait.
She could call you up.
I mean, Jesus, Lotta. So yeah. I had like one more funny thing about that was producing music. Oh, right. You were saying they're using their face and Little Miss Cutie Pants and all that. A friend of mine is who I've kind of subcontracted for, is a writer in LA and blah blah blah. He's worked for all these people, and but he would get you could see the future. He would get this list of like what everybody is doing. So like. He would be like, oh, here, you know, Christina Aguilera is coming back and she wants to kind of do something that's almost more like Britney Spears' Toxic era. Britney Spears is coming back and she's looking for something that's a little bit more like alt country or whatever, because that was a craze for a second, whatever. And he would like send these to me too. And he'd be like, hey, what, so it's like, it's not even like, oh, hey, innovation struck. It's like, oh, no. Here's these people. And you're one of 40 or 50 people that this gets sent to. And you know what? This person's looking for this. This person's looking for this. Whatever you think you can do, submit your thing. And it's like this interesting. If they end up using it, you get points on it and all this stuff like that.
Wow.
And definitely. And because of the workload, guys like me who are like a second tier just been like, hey, I'm working on this, like, you know, let's just say for no reason at all, a CeeLo Green song. Like, I need something that has like a weirder beat to it. Can you kind of like yeah, I can do that, and then you end up like owning a little chunk of something, and like, but it spreads far and wide. Like it is. No one is doing their own shit. I don't know why anyone learns to do anything, because like, no, if they like your face, they'll hire me. If they like me, they'll hire me to put
if you've
my shit
made
on
it,
your face.
then that's the formula.
Yeah.
But I mean,
it's kind of funny that Bruno Mars wrote CeeLo Green's big hit.
Bruno Mars was another one of those dudes that was writing other people's shit for years before he ever learned who he was. Yeah.
Sia was writing people's stuff.
Yep. Well, I mean, Prince wrote everything in the 80s. He wrote all of Prince's songs and, like, Walk Like an Egyptian and Nothing Compares to You and all these fucking things. And that was when he died. It was kind of interesting. All those things kind of came out where it was like, hey, here's Prince singing Nothing Compares to You, because that was the demo for Sinead O'Connor to go off of. Because that's how that works. You'll make a little demo, and if you're a good singer, you know, you throw your own version of it on there or whatever.
Who
and
gets
like,
the better payout?
The person who wrote it.
Okay.
The mechanical licensing. Now, the person who performs the guitars and drums on it gets like the least out of it. Like shit like that. Mm-hmm. So it's between the actual person who sings, the actual person, whether it's the same person or not, who writes the words is a big chunk of the pie, and then whoever like writes the music. Those are the three people that get everything. And then there's like the guy who mixed it, and there's the guy who played the cowbell on it, and that's all a little bit less down the line of who gets residuals if it gets used in a commercial. Oh,
sorry.
Are you about at your
5 minutes?
Ding dong. All right, in the last 5 minutes then. No, it's all good. This is we've prattled on for quite a bit. I'm sure we could just do another one later if we wanted, but no. Rum Dumpster is what it is, and it's definitely not supposed to be good. That is never the point. It looks and sounds okay, but
that's why most of the time I'm in pajamas.
Yeah, that's what we do. Bill's actually the best dressed here right now, and that's good. Yay.
I found that shirt.
But today, you came over to act a little bit. Not so much do music. The next, I've never thought about it like that video that I'm working on. You are playing a female warlord who goes from starts out in imprisoned, escapes, and overthrows another warlord, only to find that there's another person in line after you to overthrow you after that, and someone beyond that is pulling all the strings. But you delivered some crazy, like, because what we're doing, like, you know, your scenes are scattered throughout, so you managed to handle the tone. Being
it was
violent, funny, ridiculous, insane, confused, just like a light switch at each thing. That was actually pretty impressive.
I love acting.
You did great. Like, you could maybe be doing more of that because I had faith in you beforehand and all, but...
Okay, but don't judge me based off of this because I didn't see the script until I got here.
Yeah, but you did really good. Like, you were very intense where you needed to be...
Don't talk about too much because I don't want them to be disappointed in it.
Oh my God.
Don't be disappointed in me.
No, it was going to be disappointing me. This thing is going... It's the most ambitious one of these that I've been trying to do.
I want you to like it.
The puppets are in it, but then other friends of mine, including Athereal, are in it, and it is a very insane... I don't know. The whole point of the YouTube show is to just explain stuff. But I'm like, you know what's better than telling, showing. So let's have you fucking escape from cyber prison.
It's like explaining societal structure via skit comedy.
And puppets.
Yeah. Yeah. It's once he broke it down for me, because I've watched your episodes before and I've been incredibly confused. But now that you broke it down for me, well, no, now that I get the objective, like, no, I get it now. It's no,
That's the best review I've gotten.
I couldn't grasp that it was like a political structure being explained in sketch comedy. I couldn't grasp that before, and now that I know, it's like, oh my God, this is fucking genius. Because instead of sitting there and watching somebody ramble on and on, doing a think piece or doing an opinion piece, you're just watching it play out in front of you, like the absurdity of it all. And now it just makes so much sense. Like, it's such a better way to consume that information, in my opinion. But
and I'm very excited that you think that, because I think I 100% agree with that, and that's kind of the goal. And your help with this, I think, will really make, because my goal is for each one of them to be more ambitiously crazy than the last one, and this one is like going to be a massive step, like past the aliens one that preceded it. And what I would like is for eventually, look, when everyone out there that does anything creative, which everyone here has certainly done, and a lot of people watching this are a lot of people in bands and things, you kind of get this feeling of like, why isn't what I'm doing bigger? And what I am trying to do is to eventually get to the point where something, the comment section is like 100 people going, why isn't this bigger? And then I will have the right to bitch that it's not bigger. But it's just me going like, yeah, what the fuck? How come, blah, blah, blah. But as soon as other people are like, dude, why doesn't this have like 1 million views? I'm like, okay, now I feel good. And that might take 20 episodes, 30 episodes, I don't know, however many it takes. This is only like the fourth one that you're in. But I wanted to get more and more ambitious, and you did so good that I would love to find a way for your character to come back.
Please let me come back.
Yeah.
Even as another character.
Right, you could just be someone else, because you just...
I just like acting, it's fun.
It's you handled the ridiculous nonsense I threw at you with just effortless grace, and that really made me excited, because I was like getting nervous about how complicated this was, and because everything with you went so smoothly, I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's not so crazy. Maybe this can just be done. Maybe all the other parts of it won't be quite as difficult to do. But do you have a TikTok or an Instagram or anything that you want to shout out?
Athereal Rose, Athereal Rose on all social media platforms. I'm most popular on TikTok. TikTok is like the only place where I really, really, really do well.
That's okay. That's also the newest, most hot thing, so you kind of want that,
Like, I was telling him earlier today, I started a TikTok because I wanted to draw attention to my music. And all people want me to talk about is van life and how I healed from my trauma. Like, literally. It's all I talk about. I have like 4 videos that are actively blowing up right now that are all at like 250,000, 500,000. And seriously, it's all about how I healed my trauma from having like narcissistic abusive parents. So if you want to learn how I healed myself and how I managed not to kill myself, then you can log onto my TikTok, and I'll pass on my mental health advice that my therapist gave to me.
And I will definitely
and there's music.
By the way, I have a new album out. It's called Athereal Rose Music, but nobody cares about that, I guess. I don't know.
Welcome to music.
What did it teach you about your trauma, though?
But hey, though, I mean, at the very least, after this too, I already have mentally made notes of the funniest parts of this podcast, and once some of the special effects are built into the acting that you did, I will chop them up into 30-second long TikTok-sized bits, and you can share those on there too to really spook those fuckboys and confuse them about what's going on. And that
trust me, there's no fuckboys on my TikTok.
That seems impossible to me because I would assume it would be filled with them.
You know what?
Is TikTok not filled with fuckboys? Who are we going to spook?
It's filled with fuckboys, but they don't like women who talk about their trauma. I'll tell you that. They don't like women who talk about trauma.
There's a whole other fuck talk. Okay, well that makes sense.
Yeah, we'll save that for next episode.
All right, well. This has been an excellent podcast, Bill. Okay, do you see the outro one down there?
I know what to do.
All right, hit that button, Bill, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.